Greetings, Sanmanani. Good day. My name is WIA. I am thrilled to be a part of this program and this module on strategic management as part of the faculty of the Gordon Institute of Business Science. In the time that we're going to be spending together, there will be key concepts we'll be sharing, and we would want for you to participate in the activities that are lined up for you so that the module does not stay all theoretical, but you have an opportunity to apply the lessons that are contained in what we'll be sharing henceforth. Strategic management is a journey. So in order to be able to get to your destiny, you will need a map. What we've put together is an introduction and contextualizing of strategic management. It is important to be able to locate strategy before we talk to strategic management as the guide and the foundation for what it is we're going to be doing. It also becomes important that we spend some time reflecting on the distinction between leadership and management, because after all, one formulates strategy, the other implements it. And it is important to understand that and be comfortable with where you are as an entrepreneur. Because after all, as an agripreneur, there are some things you will need to be bringing into beginning point and others that you'll be carrying through as your business matures, and you will require hands of others to take it forward. We would want for you to take some time and review what you already have in terms of your strategy, and then plan ahead so that success can be more guaranteed. We will use as a working definition strategy as the integrated and coordinated set of commitments and actions that the organization puts together, designed to exploit its core competencies so as to be able to gain a competitive edge over its rivals. Come to appreciate that business operates in a context of a whole variety of stakeholders. Ireland, Hoskinson, and Pitts presents that stakeholders are individuals, groups, and organizations that can affect your firm's vision, your mission, and they are also affected by the strategic outcomes you achieve and have an enforceable claim on your organization's performance. It's important to understand that because there is a whole variety of these kind of stakeholders that you will need to navigate and ensure you are satisfying their needs while you conduct your business. When thinking about the enterprise being highly effective, an organization being effective in what it is it was set out for, we begin therefore with an understanding of our customers and our key customers and ask the question, what is it that they need? What is it that they require? Currently, what are they getting? What is it that our competition is giving, and are they satisfied in that manner? If they're not, there is a gap. Your time is to therefore exploit that gap. Ask the question, what is your purpose? Why do you exist? When your purpose is achieved with excellence, that defines the vision. But that vision will need to be implemented through a clear articulation of that which you value above all things. That is, that which you treasure, so much so that you would want everybody in your organization to embrace. When that is clear, that becomes your North Star, effectively defining how you will ensure that regardless of location, you will be purpose-driven. Strategy will come through right there, and in terms of the image you have, it is sitting on the northeast. For that strategy to be executed, it will require that you have clarity on your processes, the structures in place, as well as systems that must be so well put together that they do not require your presence in order for the work to be done. Work gets done better when the mindset of the people that are doing the work is aligned with the founder of the business. And of course, is also responsive to the challenges that are coming through. However we behave, that will form the culture of the organization. That is the smell of the organization, the way in which people feel about the organization. You will know that Peter Drucker has stated that culture will eat strategy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and snacks in between. Therefore, it is important to be deliberate about the kind of culture you want your organization to be associated with and be known for. So then, we say your vision is going to be the picture of what your firm wants to be. And in broad terms, what it wants to ultimately achieve. So 5 years from now, 20 years from now, when you're no longer there as the founder or as the leader who puts in place the strategy of the organization, what will the entity be known for? When you've got a very clear picture of the future, you may want to then ask the question, what business do you intend to compete in? And what kind of customers do you intend to serve? What solution are you bringing in the marketplace? Products, services? What is it that you are bringing that is so needed that you need to establish your enterprise? Putting strategic management in context helps you to see it in this build-up. You start off right at the top and you work your way down. Why do we exist becomes our mission. You could consider that as your purpose. Ask a further question. What is it that is most important to us? When you are clear about your values, ethics will never be an issue in your organization, because you know what is truly of value to you. Next, you want to be asking, where do you want to be? 10 years from now, 20 years from now, where do you want to be? Because when you've got a firm picture of the future, and it is inside without necessarily being within reach, it stretches you. You wake up in the morning and want to do that which is contained in that vision statement. We then want to be able to look into the area of strategy, the game plan that we put together so as to be able to play in the marketplace where there may very well be others who are competing for the attention of the customer. But also, it may be in a situation where we're bringing something altogether new that has never been in the marketplace. When that is in place, we know we're playing the game according to our rules. Wouldn't that be great for you to consider? For you to work with that and then play the game according to the rules, which may already have been set up, or the rules you will be setting up because it's a new territory altogether, a new offering altogether. It will be useful to consider how you are strategically positioned in relation to the tool that's often referred to as a SWOT analysis that specifically looks into your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. Understand this. Your strengths and weaknesses are internal, and they would very much be looking into what you already have been working on and touching on your existing competencies. You want to be able to match that against what's happening externally. Therefore, consider what are the opportunities in the marketplace that you need to be able to grab right now. Notice this, an opportunity of a lifetime needs to be grabbed in the lifetime of that opportunity. While there may be opportunities, there may be threats that we may not be ready for. Therefore, it becomes important that we take time to establish what is it that could interfere with our successful implementation of our strategy. Therefore, your strengths and weaknesses must be defined in the light of the opportunities and the threats. And there will be opportunities internal, which would be building the talent you already have. There may also be opportunities externally, which means you may be attracting new talent into your organization. That being the case, helps you to position yourself, position your organization such that it is a talent magnet, but also a customer magnet. Having got that clear, you want to then have your strategic objectives clear so that what you are doing is aligned to your core reason for existence. You then look into that and say, what are the core outcomes? What do we want to be producing that makes us be the preferred supplier in the marketplace? Strategic management will then be seen in practice as you do and put in place your program of action. Your action plan will be the way in which you are showing how the dream matches the people you have in the organization and what the customers are looking for externally. For the strategy to be fully implemented and with the right kind of support, you would want to have a working governance framework. Therefore, be thinking, who are the shareholders aligned to your business? What's the mandate that they have set? What does the Companies Act as core legislation that governs and regulates what it is that's being done in the marketplace? What does it say we need to be able to do? Of course, in our country, we have the King Commission that has come through and has presented the fourth version of its recommendation of how we could implement effective corporate governance. Have a good grasp of what King 4 presents so as to ensure that you are again attracting the right kind of talent to your board and the right kind of talent to your executive, so there is accountability and there is responsibility taken by all players in your environment. Within the context of technology, the industry within which you operate, and the demographic layout, as well as legislation that regulates what you do, you may want to be checking first and foremost, what is it that the competitors are offering? Because there is a market that is already in existence. Second, you want to be able to look into what is it that customers have been yearning for but not getting. If you can offer something that your competitors are not offering, and you've got full capabilities to exploit that gap, you then have a strategic sweet spot, which is you are offering to the customers what your competitors are not able to offer. Put differently, you have a strategic sweet spot when your company is able to meet the customer's needs in a way that your rivals, your competition cannot, given the context in which you are competing. We are dealt a hand and the marketplace is laid out for us. It becomes a strategic matter because stratos, which has to do with the lay of the land, and egos, which has to do with leadership and management, when those are put together, they define for us how we become strategic players in an environment that may very well have many players, some of whom are going to be for you, many of whom are going to be wanting to take your breakfast away from you. Almost 70 years ago, Peter Drucker shared with us that which we would want to be able to put into our thinking for strategic purposes. Says we need to be able to ask, what is our business? What should our business be? Who is our customer? What is of value to the customer? And how can we reach that customer? Right there, we have clarity around the importance of our value proposition and the distribution mechanism through which we will get to our customer. Because when there is a need and we are able to meet it, we have an economic space within which we can generate significant income for ourselves and for the business as a whole. From a marketing perspective, Igor Ensoff has helped us with this matrix. And he says to us, it is important to understand 4 basic alternatives that are open to any business. We can grow our business through market penetration. That is, getting into a space wherein we coming in with an old product into an existing market. Or we can come through with market development, where we have an old product taken through to a new market altogether. A third alternative is one where we have a new product that we are introducing into an existing market. That becomes product development. And finally, we have a very good space where we are coming with a new product into a new market altogether, and that becomes product diversification. Thinking about that and thinking about your business, what would you like to have as your approach? Would you want to be penetrating an existing market? Would you want to be developing new markets? Are you in a space where you are able to produce new products altogether, development? Or do you have a rare opportunity of getting into the marketplace with a new product and bring in an altogether new market? Consider this. Right now, we have no less than 6 different generations that are in the marketplace. And what you have to offer may not necessarily be the same for the boomers as they are for Generation Z in your marketplace. So think about it. You have an opportunity for product diversification. Having made a decision about what it is we are offering in the marketplace, it is necessary for us to then consider what are key elements related to strategic management. Before I do that, may I just invite you to consider for a moment. Your leadership will be necessary in defining the future. Your leadership will be necessary in defining which market to go to and which to let go of. Because it's not necessary to engage in anything and everything just because other people are doing it. You have every reason to be able to choose and create your own market. When Apple decided that they were going to simplify the use of computers, they set for themselves a leadership role in the marketplace. You may want to consider that aspect as well. So then, what we are after as we step into the conversation around strategic management, I'd like for you to consider these 7 key factors. First, are you clear about what your strategy is? Are you clear about what business you are in? Second, how committed are you and your colleagues to the delivery of that which is promised by your organization? Third, are you able to translate the strategy into day-to-day action? Because when it is translatable to day-to-day action, execution is a lot easier. Of course, the fourth and very important question is whether or not the people who are to execute strategy are enabled, equipped, granted with the necessary tools and capabilities to get the job done. Having got that in place, you want to be able to ask the question, are we able to break the silos, to go across functions so as to facilitate a lot more collaboration and synergy in our working as a practice and as a culture of the organization? It will be important at number 6 to hold yourself and people accountable. Accountability is easier and possible when there are quantifiable things related to the strategy. So the outcomes being very clear at a quantifiable level, but also at a quality level. When you've received quality service, you're prepared to pay a premium for that. Who is accountable for making that happen? Finally, it is important to be able to think as you look at managing the execution of your strategy, that there is clarity around the consequences for effective strategy execution and ineffective strategy execution. As we live in our country as you know for a fact the consequences of the unavailability of electricity on a regular basis. When there have been load shedding situations, you know the consequences for business and your business. So what are the consequences for successful implementation and unsuccessful implementation? Effectively managing strategy, therefore, requires us to consider at least 4 key factors. 1, what are the strategic inputs? And we're going to spend a little bit of time around this because it is vital for you to know that what you put in will influence what you get out. Second, it is important to understand the environment within which your business operates. If you are not able to scan the environment and formulate an effective strategy to function within that environment, you probably will find more blaming of the circumstances than creating environments that work. We've already spoken about the importance of vision and mission, but I think it's important to re-emphasize the value of clarity of objectives, because objectives become that which drive us in order to wake up in the morning and do the work that needs to be done. Goals being set also point to something to work towards, to aim at. When we have goals that are set, hopefully that includes the growth of your organization, while you're doing away with things that are not of any value to your customers, you will find that your strategic management is something that you can be proud of as well. It is also useful to think about strategic actions, which have to do with your revisitation of the strategy that has been formulated and the process through which you have been executing your strategy. The execution of strategy distinguishes players and pretenders. Finally, it is important to consider key strategic outcomes. We will say that these are good and strategic when they give us a competitive advantage, and they are in line with the dream we had set out right at the beginning. Therefore, it's important to understand the end right at the beginning. Begin with the end in mind. Keep that in mind, and places we go to are going to be ones wherein success is going to be secondary, natural for us. So let's reinforce that you have a strategic advantage when your firm can successfully implement your strategy and create superior value for your customers. And when your competitors are not able to duplicate or find a less costly way to do what you are doing, to imitate or emulate what you're doing. And of course, when you are in that space, you can count yourself as a strategic player. Having demonstrated your strategic advantage, you would also want to be able to give assurance to investors that they can expect more in return for the investments that they've made when granted with a similar risk elsewhere, and that would be an above average return. Inspreneur presents a very important factor that I believe you would want to be able to embrace as well. He says, while product innovation and process innovation are important aspects in entrepreneurship, it is having the right business model that is more often than not the difference maker between success and failure. So somebody may ask, what is a business model? It is a process through which we define the rationale of how, as an organization, we're going to be able to create, deliver, and capture value for the customer. Presented differently, when we have very good, delicious pies, well prepared, created with our own special recipe, and we've got an outlet, a restaurant, or a tuck shop where these will be sold, when they get to be delivered in a format that demonstrates freshness and customers buy more of that, there is a microwave standing by to be able to warm them up, more people buy those, we will be capturing customers and getting more revenues for ourselves. So our investors are going to be super happy with us. Briefly, navigating the business model, which is crucial for our strategic management. It's understanding who our customer is. What do they value? And we present that value proposition. How do we keep those relationships warm and alive? What channels do we use to reach the customers? When that is well sorted out, we're able to articulate our revenue streams. If our revenue streams are very clear, we then get to be able to ask ourselves, who can we partner with so that we are able to reach the customer with value that is even greater than we could be providing ourselves? Understanding what is going to be the key activities that we need to be putting in place to deliver exceptional value will then cause us to ask key questions around resources that will be needed, whether it's going to be financial resources, technology resources, mechanical resources. All of those need to be in place. Human resources or human capital becomes even more vital because it is the talent we are able to attract to translate the need of the customer to something that we can produce as an organization. Having got that very clear, we then get to be able to work out what does it cost us to deliver value to the customer. So the cost structure becomes a lot clearer. 9 blocks, very vital in terms of us being able to produce to the customer what they're looking for at a price that makes it still come across as highly valuable to them. And indeed, in the process, bring to us the kind of revenues we're looking for so that our investors can get better returns. The canvas, therefore, presents a pictorial way of us looking at the plan through which we can successfully operate our business, identifying the sources of revenue, who our target customer base is, the kind of products and services that we're rendering, who we partner with to deliver those products, and detailing the financing of the whole operation. In the middle of the pandemic, Jeff Henderson released in 2020 the book, Know What You Are For. Effectively, ask the question, who are you for as a business? Not so much, what are you best at? Who are you for? That gives purpose for your business. But also understanding the distinction between what it is that entrepreneurs and business leaders do and what it is they hire managers to do. When you are clear about the society you operate within and serve, and know who you are, what you're about, it becomes easier to be able to articulate the purpose for your business. Having that very clear, then you assemble a team that will execute what needs to be delivered to the customer. The customer is always going to be the reason for the business existence. If it is to be that our customer and society are happy with what we have to offer, rest assured we will be a profitable business. We need to be deliberate, though, in ensuring that the cost base is well managed so that the revenue can continue to rise as it should. Being purpose-driven, I want to ask you to spend a bit of time reflecting. What is your business for? What's your objective? Why do you exist? Plot that. And then ask, what are the key results? What are the things you're going to be measured on? Because you want to measure what really matters. If you are going to be delivering that which people could be able to get anywhere and it does not really move the dial, maybe it's energy that has been wasted. So think about it. What are you here for? What are your core objectives? And what are the results you want to be measured for as an entrepreneur? Taking the conversation a little bit further than what we have from Jeff Henderson, it may be useful to be able to scan the markets and check 8 key factors. What's happening in the social space that would have a bearing on the success of your business? What is technology telling us we need to do? How are we embracing technology as a business? Environmentally, how are we doing things so that the ecology is not negatively affected by what we do? We also want to be checking ourselves in terms of the political environment within which we operate. Legislation that has a bearing on the work we do. The economy itself, is it favorable? Is it working in manners that require us to double up on the work that we do? 2 key areas that have not been in the previously well articulated pastel approach. This is the understanding of the health and well-being of our staff. COVID-19, if nothing else, brought us the importance of paying attention to the welfare and well-being, even mental well-being of our staff, our customers, and the suppliers we work with. It is also vital that we spend some time being very deliberate about dissecting the demographic shifts that are taking place in our working environment and our marketplace as a whole. An activity I would like for you to engage with as you proceed further with your strategic management is just to go into each of the 8 elements that I've highlighted for you and consider what's trending in that space. What's happening in the social space with society at large? Technologically, what's going on that has a bearing on how we do business, how we conduct business? Ecologically, in terms of environmental matters, what's trending? COP27, COP28 coming up? What's happening in the political space? What's trending in that space? We're beginning to talk in our country a lot more about the move towards more coalition governments. What does that mean? What does that translate into in your entrepreneurial space? Legislation. There's legislation that may very well be ancient. What's happening in the amendments of those legislations? Is there an appetite for the revision of those legislations? The economy, has it become more regional? Has it become open? We have the Africa Free Trade environment. Is that improving things for us, for your products that you have? Recently, we've been learning about how citrus is well received in markets globally. How are we doing in that space? At a health level, how are we dealing with issues of mental health? How are we dealing with issues of physical well-being of our staff? And demographically, what's shifting in terms of the younger generation getting into the workplace? We know for a fact that by 2030, almost 60 to 67% of the workforce will comprise of millennials and Generation Z. How are we doing in that space? What are the trends? What are their tastes? What are they looking for? What opportunities are arising in each of these 8 areas? And how can you position your business accordingly to take advantage of the opportunities? Remember, opportunity taken in the lifetime of the opportunity will go much further. So then, talking to the culture of your organization, does it have a leaning towards implementation or talking about what needs to be done? Kevin Rollins, who was the CEO at Dell Computers, said, if you look at companies that have done really well out there, they have great strategies, but they are maniacal implementers. Maybe that's the thing you want to distinguish yourself in the marketplace as, a maniacal implementer. For strategy implementation to be maniacally done, there's going to be a need for clarity on what is the strategy, where are we trying to get to, and then ensuring that the operations have been put in place with right structures and systems so as to ensure that delivery is not hampered by misalignment. And then you want to ensure that you have attracted, developed, and retained the right kind of people who are connected to the strategy and excited about the strategy. The sweet spot where all 3 come together is effective strategy implementation. And the management of strategy is going to be done very well right there. The strategy will be implemented in at least 3 levels, and management of strategy needs to be done accordingly. In an organization that is big, there will be a head office. So therefore, there will be a corporate level strategy management process, which will involve the CEO, the board, and the directors, as well as corporate staff. And then you will have strategic management taking place at a business level, where the divisional managers and staff get together on a regular basis and they're asking, how are we measuring up to what corporate has defined as being our objectives for this year and our strategic goals for this year and the deliverables against which we're going to be measured? Obviously, this needs to be done at a functional level. Those who are in the farm doing the actual work of tilling, planting, and weeding and harvesting will see the work differently to those who are involved in the canning of the material, the distribution of the products we have. So it is important to be able to consider that we need to have clarity in terms of strategic management at a corporate level, defining pretty much more a helicopter perspective of what the organization is looking for. And then understanding that various businesses are there to deliver the strategy. Some are going to be out there fetching business. Others will be ensuring that it is delivered to the promise that has been made. This being in place ensures that strategic management does not find itself leaking instead of being sustained. Larry Bossidy, together with Rem Sharan, authored Execution, the Discipline of Getting Things Done. And I want to highlight 3 key areas that they speak to in relation to strategy and strategic management. Strategic management would involve, among others, the actual formulation of strategy, which will require that we are consciously linking the people to the operations against the promise that has been made in the game plan called strategy. At an operational level, we want to ensure that there is a good link between the strategy, our game plan, and the people that we've attracted, developed, and have retained to execute the strategy. When it comes to people, at a point of attraction, bringing them into the organization, we want to be able to ensure that every time we do the recruitment process, the engagement process, the onboarding process, the socialization process, we have a clear link to strategy. So if we're in a growth strategy, we're not looking to be bringing into the organization people who are going to be about maintaining when we want to grow. At the same time, we want to make sure that those who are in the organization have a clear picture of the operation and they can see themselves as players in ensuring that the operations go and work well. Let's look a little bit deeper into the operationalization of strategy, which basically is making the strategy executable. We need to be able to synchronize what's happening externally versus what we have internally. If it is to be that the external environment is requiring a certain set of competencies and skills that we don't have internally, it's time for us to recalibrate. We also need to be checking what assumptions we are holding on to relating to the future and the way the business is running right now. We also need to be thinking about our operating plan. Is it built properly, considering where the future is heading and how the people we've already had inside the organization have been aligned or not misaligned to the future we wanted to put in place. We also need to be able to make some trade-offs. We may need to be making some trade-offs between things that we are wanting to get done this year and things that we're going to need to do the following year. Because what is emerging and urgent and required needs to receive priority and prior attention. If that is the case, we want to be able to ensure our operations are aligned accordingly. Most often, strategies do not get to be fully executed because there is no follow-through. So we announce what needs to be done, but we do not follow through on the promises that we've made. Finally, it's important to be able to have contingency plan. Plan A, Plan B, and Plan C. Of course, most organizations will say there is only Plan A. Failure is not an option. Well, we're not going to the moon. We are here on Earth. Therefore, let's get into ensuring that there is a backup in case things do not work out according to original plan. Strategy and operations will become possible when the people are aligned to what needs to be done. It therefore becomes necessary that we are deliberate in our selection of the people who we are inviting into our organization to deliver the strategy. That requires of us to develop a pipeline of leaders and professionals who are going to be working on a continuous improvement process. The Japanese call it Kaizen. People who are going to ensure that we've got bench strength so as to ensure that when one person leaves, there is a successor. Also, it's important to be working on ensuring that the people that are in the organization can be retained through, among others, our short-term incentive as well as our long-term incentives. We need to deal with people who do not deliver on the work that needs to be done. Because if we don't, we will negatively impact on the morale of the top performers. This being the case, therefore means we need to be linking our people processes to the achievement of business results. The business results will keep coming for as long as the people we've hired are aligned to the work that must be done. As we come to the close of our time together, allow me to borrow from Marianne Williamson words that were cited by Nelson Mandela that say, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? I want to believe that you will be able, with all the other material that has been put forward for you, to strategically manage your business so that you are proud of the work you do. You are able to attract to you a team of people that are going to be excited about the work you do. You're able to attract customers who will want to do business with you. May this be a beginning of great things in your work. I wish you great success in everything you do. Thank you.